well, normally they say your bowlers win your competitions and batters win your games, but you sort of have to puzzle everything together to win a World Cup, I would think. So, yeah, the first thing that came to mind was obviously our bowlers are going to be tested. Like you mentioned, guys are coming hard now with the bat, and I think if your bowlers have their skills and plans in place, you can almost get one step ahead of the rest.
Thanks, Johan. Nathan?
Thank you, Lucy. Good day. Aiden, do you still remember what happened 10 years ago at the Fanatics World Cup?
Vaguely, yeah, obviously.
I'll get to my question. Not only did you obviously captain the side to Doria as another fellow Protea, Katie was with you. Aiden, with that being said, again, you are the captain at a World Cup. Do you feel the Proteas have what it takes to win it and break the tag of being chokers at major events?
I definitely think we have what it takes. It's a World Cup. It's a really high level of cricket, and I think this group has now been together for quite a few years, and we've shown through many performances in the past few years that we're able to beat the best in the world. So I'm quietly confident that this team has what it takes to win the World Cup, and I think once we're able to get that first elusive one, I think potentially quite a few could follow after that.
Thanks, Nathan. Stu?
Morning, Aiden. Very simple question, two parts. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for you captaining at a tournament for the first time? And what do you think you are looking forward to the most as captain?
I think, yeah, naturally the responsibilities, the off-field responsibilities that you have as a captain at ICC events generally are a little bit more hectic and more busy. So I suppose just managing that, but we've got a great team in place here to make my life a lot easier in that regard, and allows me to focus on the cricket side of things, but managing energies into the sort of right areas that will ideally allow the team to do really well. But it's not too much different for a captain. I don't think your main focus is to keep the team in a really positive and good space, and ideally help everyone believe that they're backed, which obviously we've proved to the team now. So a challenge as always, but a challenge like I've mentioned before that I really enjoy doing.
Thanks, Stu. Hyatt?
Hi, Aiden. I hope you're well. You just mentioned that ICC tournaments tend to be a bit busier. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the tweak in the format. Do you think it's a kind of nice addition to have the Super 8s this season?
I do enjoy it, yes. Naturally, it's including more teams, obviously, but also it gives you a great opportunity to still progress in the competition if you lose potentially one game. I think of 2021 World Cup, I think it was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where we won 4 out of 5 and still weren't really able to qualify. So when you have sort of different stages of the competition, I think you block them off and you try sort of tick each challenge and phase as you move, and then ideally see where it gets you in the competition.
Thanks, Hyatt. Ongama then.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Aiden. I don't think anyone can question the talent and the potential of any Proteas World Cup squad. But it still remains that we haven't won a World Cup. You know, looking back to Adelaide 2022 last year in India as well. What have we learned from those games? And then in terms of big games and handling pressure, and what are we going to do differently this time around to make sure that we win the World Cup? How do we do this?
Sort of on field and from a planning point of view, not a lot changes. We always keep a lot of focus on ourselves as a team, obviously still respecting the opposition, but we've had a few pressure games that potentially, especially at a World Cup where we haven't got over the line in the past year or two. So we've tried to simulate it as best as we can from a preparation point of view, and ideally when we get there, and hopefully we can get it right this time. But we've all been playing now a lot of cricket. Some guys have been playing different leagues, different competitions, series deciders where there is extra pressure, and we're hoping that we can draw from that experience, and that can help us if we get to that stage.
Thanks, Ungama. Talbot?
Thanks, Lucy. How's it, Andy? That World Cup that you helped Malawi with 10 years ago, the game and yourself, I'm sure it has changed vastly as a player since then. But, you know, is there something that you can draw from that example? You are the only South African team to have won a World Cup. Is there something you could take from that and put it into this equation?
To be honest, Telford, I don't take too much from it. I see it as a completely different level of cricket. Obviously, it was a really long time ago. There is obviously a small element of belief and confidence you could potentially take from it, but for me, it's this. If we win this World Cup, for me, that'll be the first World Cup that we win. So it's not to disregard what we did at under 19 level at all. It was a massive achievement for us, and one that we are still incredibly proud of, but I think this one would certainly mean a hell of a lot more.
Thanks, Talbot. Nathan, just want to check if that's a new hand or an old hand.
Yes, please, Lucy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much again. Aiden, you guys have had 2 training sessions, an internal match, and an offshore training session on Monday. In terms of the conditions, there is an unknown factor, which is the pitch. Can you briefly give us your thoughts on the US surface so far?
Yeah, we only joined yesterday, so it's a bit of a tough one to answer now. But if I looked at how we sort of operated in our internal match yesterday, it still looked pretty good for batting. I don't think the wickets will be as quick as they are potentially at home and maybe in a place like Australia, but that's just the feeling that I got yesterday watching that game. So we're going to have to really pick up as much info as we can along the way, watch warm-up games that might be being played there in New York, where we're playing 3 of our games, and take as much information from that before the game as we can. So it's still a tricky one to answer, but we certainly need to assess and adapt probably a lot quicker than we used to in conditions that we don't know.
Thanks. We're going to go Heinz in for those.
Aiden, just sort of on preparation and also just talking about how cricket has changed and stuff. There's been a lot of talk about how you guys were scattered as a squad, you know, and basically all you guys only came together yesterday and stuff. But the point has been made before that one shouldn't perhaps be too perturbed or worried about game time and even rhythm, you know, as a team, because everybody has been playing their fair amount of cricket. So as a guy who was at the IPL, do you also feel like question marks over, you know, actually rhythm and being together and having a build-up is perhaps a bit, you know, overemphasized, actually, particularly in this new world order of cricket?
I think that way of potentially doing things how it used to be in terms of doing a proper build-up as a squad might get a bit more challenging moving forward. I agree with that. For us, we want to be together as much as we can before any series or any World Cup, but there are challenges with that. So you sort of just go with what you get given time-wise and preparation-wise, but we are getting more used to doing things like that. I think guys are getting used to rocking up at tournaments, spending a couple of days training and then getting straight into the competition, and sort of it being in drips and drabs. But we'd obviously love to spend more time together from a preparation and build-up point of view, but having said that, there's obvious reasons why that can become a bit of a challenge.
Thanks, Heinz. For those, then Ken.
Hi, Aiden, as one of the guys who's been at the IPL, what would you say is the biggest thing you can take from that tournament and apply at a World Cup?
Probably just it's your typical on-field challenges and lessons that you learn at an IPL. Guys that do really well, I think of Classy and Stubbsy, taking a lot of confidence from the IPL into the World Cup, and guys that potentially didn't have the IPL they would have wanted will be able to take a lot of lessons. So probably those two things. Obviously, from a conditions point of view, I see it being quite different to IPL, so you can't take too much from that point of view, but confidence lessons and probably trying to gain as much clarity as you can going into the World Cup through match time that you played in IPL or whichever series building up to the World Cup, I think can help us.
Thanks for those, Johan.
Aiden, will you guys be on Saturday at the match between India and Bangladesh in New York?
I know that Rob's going to go, Coach Rob's going to go. It'll probably be an optional thing. I think the schedule's so busy. We're going to need to be training on Monday somehow as well. So it'll probably be an optional thing, but where the guys are there at the venue, we'll probably just watching it back at the hotel to, like I mentioned earlier, gain as much information and knowledge as we can about conditions. I'm sure everyone's going to have their eyes on that game either way.
Thanks, Johan. We're going to go Percy, then look to wrap with Ken.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Good afternoon, Skipper. Maybe can I ask you, you just mentioned that some of you guys, senior players, or some of the senior players joined the squad only yesterday. Do you as a captain, do you carry any baggage of what happened in New Zealand, in West Indies now this past 3 T20 matches, or do you guys simply ignore what happened now in that 3 match series against West Indies?
Yeah, certainly no baggage from a series like that. Also, definitely not ignoring it. It was a completely different squad, a young squad coming through where it's fantastic for them to get that experience in international cricket. So they'll be able to take a lot of lessons from that. But for us as a squad here, quite a lot of different faces to that squad that was in West Indies, and we're sort of seeing us starting afresh when we get to that first game.
Thanks, Percy. And then over to you, Ken, for the last question. Ken, you're not, you haven't unmuted yourself. There we go.
So there's me or Percy?
No, Percy has just asked his question. It's over to you.
Alright, thanks. So, how's it, Aiden? And it was a very different IPL this year. A lot of changes to how things panned out. Taking conditions out of the equation, do you think those changes to the T20 game are going to translate to the World Cup, or do you think it's very different at World Cup level?
I do think it's different at World Cup level. I don't want to say it's very different, but there is a definite difference in how guys are potentially going to play. I still think guys are going to take it on and be aggressive from a batting point of view, but obviously one less batter through that impact player rule in your World Cup team, so almost back to your normal 11-a-side cricket, and I think that does make a bit of a difference. Obviously going to allow for situations to be played and sort of calculating moves and attacks on certain bowlers, potentially not everyone, because you don't have that luxury of an extra batter. So there'll be a difference, I feel, Ken, yes, but I think the way the game is moving as well, you can't expect it to be a really big difference.